I'm going to transport you back in time right now. Close your eyes and think about those Friday nights. You've just finished school. You're wandering around the shelves of a video store, picking off films that are going to send you on your adventure for that weekend. You are coming of age, and this is the last video store. What we do on this show is you're going to be hosted by me, Alexei, and we get to talk to interesting people about their favorite movies in the style of an old school video store rental combo. Joining me on the show today, the interesting person on the other chair of this show, is someone I greatly freaking admire. One of the great actors who has just made their feature directorial debut with the coming of age comedy drama, The Mountain. We're talking to Rachel House. I absolutely adore Rachel House. She's just one of those actors that is just their craft and their skill is innate in the way that they present themselves. And the way you see them interact on film, there's just like this. They're just a master of their craft, I would say. And I have admired them from everything from Hunt for the WILDERPEOPLE, of course, HEARTBREAK HIGh, and a film that I in particular love is a film called Cousins, which is, I think, a bit of a rare film. It's a New Zealand masterpiece that I don't think many people have seen, but I saw it on a Friday night with my friends Rodney Todd, Cameron James, Sam Campbell, three of the funniest dudes. It was the movie that we decided to see, and all of us were sitting in a cinema absolutely weeping, and Rachel House was responsible for many of those tears on that day, and I'll always be grateful for them. And her new film, The Mountain, is something quite special. It's one of those coming of age films that communicates complex things to children on a level that is not just understandable for them, but moving for us as adults as well. So I highly recommend you go see this film, especially if you have young people in your life. This is a great film to take them to, and is in cinemas this week, the 27th of June, across Australia. Let me tell you a little bit about The Mountain before we get into our chat with Rachel. I'm actually going to read you the official synopsis I was sent because I think it is beautifully written and a great way to describe this film. Sam, a fearless young girl raised outside her Maori culture, is determined to fulfill her mission of connecting with her mountain in the hope they can heal her from the cancer she battles. Along the way, she meets some misfits and new kids in town. Mallory, hoping to find friends, any kind of friends, and Bronco, who claims to be a runaway from his dad, who is too busy to notice him. As they make their way through the difficult, off-the-beaten-track route, they learn the true spirit of adventure and the magic of friendship. So it is a stunning film. I absolutely loved it. I watched it last night and I was moved to tears. These are those coming of age films that I think are so powerful. And that is pretty much the theme of this episode. The theme of this episode is coming of age. So let's get into our chat with Rachel House, the director of The Mountain. Well, Rachel House, welcome home to the last video store.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, it does have a very familiar feeling. I feel like I am quite comfortable in this video store.
I want to talk to you about your new movie, but before we do, I just need to tell you, there's a movie of yours that you star in that I absolutely love,
yes,
and your performance in it is just like magnificent. The movie Cousins.
Oh, wow. Do you know, I didn't think you were going to say that.
That's the one.
Everyone always picks WILDERPEOPLE.
It's a great movie, movie.
Yeah.
But Cousins, I think, is just one of those movies that I think is a must-see movie. And it was this, I remember seeing it. I took my friends. It was me and a bunch of other comedians, Sam Campbell, Cameron James. And we just were like, oh, this movie's on, let's go see it. And we were just bawling, just four guys just sitting alone in the cinema, just crying on a Friday night.
Sorry, not that you were, that you were moved in the way that you were. And also four guys, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I loved that film. Ainsley and Bry did such a magnificent job. And it is such a beloved novel.
Yeah, it is. But
by
you just
Patricia Grace.
you bring that to life so much of just like that character that you play is just so moving and so powerful.
Thank you.
So I'm a true fan. Let's just say that. I'm a true fan.
Much. Thank you. That's lovely.
Here on the show, Rachel, what we talk about some of your favorite movies, and we're going to do it in the style of an old school video store rental combo. We're going to pick up some new films, including a new release. There's a film you've directed. Then we're going to talk about a couple of films that inspired it, and they're going to be your weekly titles. And then I'm going to talk about a film. I'm going to give you a staff pick recommendation based on your films, and we'll talk about that as well.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I'm going to surprise you with it at the end.
Okay, cool. I'm really excited.
New release.
Well, let's get into the new release, which is your feature film directorial debut, The Mountain.
Adventure.
Could you describe this film for those that have yet to see it? It's going to be out in cinemas the day that we're releasing this episode.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. So it's about a young girl named Sam. She hasn't been raised in her culture, Māori culture, and she firmly believes that if she connects with her mountain, that our mountain can heal her from the cancer that she has. Along the way, she accidentally picks up two other kids who for their own reasons, follow her on this adventure. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful film. It's so funny. It's so sweet. It does all of those things that a coming-of-age film should do, which in particular, I think like that perspective of a child is so beautifully captured, especially a child that's like grappling with existential and spiritual problems and issues. And I want to talk to you about this film in particular, the concepts of maunga and whakapapa. One of my best friends, Jen Fricka, is a Maori woman.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget when she shared with me those terms for the first time, and that saying that's so key to this film is you may not know your mountain, but your mountain knows you. Oh. And it's just one of those things.
G.
She educated me so well.
Yeah,
and
she's awesome.
It's just moved me so much, that idea of, you know, if you don't know your ancestry still knows you. And that's so key to this film.
100%. So, I mean, not all of us had the kind of, you know, the privilege of growing up in our culture. I think there's many of us who are a little bit lost, but it's definitely something that really, you know, helps us all through. And of course, it helps Sam in our film as well. She really believes that particular saying so much, that whakatauki so much so that to her there's just no doubt that her maunga will recognise her. So when we introduce ourselves, we always say who our maunga is, because we firmly believe that mountains are living ancestors. Our mountain, Taranaki, who features in the film, was just given legal personage last year as we were shooting the film, which is really cool. Wow. I mean, you know, so that's wonderful. That's celebrated by everybody now, but it's something that we always believe. But when we introduce ourselves, we say who our ancestor, our mountain is, and also who our river is, and the tribe that we whakapapa to. And, you know, we often talk about our parents and our grandparents, and so that's whakapapa. Genealogy. Yes.
Genealogy, that ancestry.
Yes.
Can you talk about what I think this film does so beautifully is it communicates those ideas for children as well. Can you talk about making a film for young people and the importance and significance of trying to impart those like cultural ideals to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the reason as well that I wanted to make sure that they were 11 is because I sort of feel like that's before the cynicism kind of kicks in that we've all been through as adults. You know, it's the magic of faith and beliefs, and I just wanted to kind of, you know, harken back to how that felt. You know, I wanted kids to feel really alive with the environment and those beliefs that, you know, Bronco and Sam have, and the disbelief that Mallory has, although he, you know, has a beautiful, satisfying arc of understanding that there are things maybe bigger going on in the world. I think
the magical time of childhood, we still have, we are still capable of believing as adults. But yeah, I also wanted kids to kind of, sense the magic of nature. And get off their phones.
Hey, well, what if they're going to watch
guilty.
the movie on their phone?
Yeah, they'll probably watch the movie on their phone, probably. Yeah.
In like 14 installments on TikTok, little snapshots.
Yes.
That's the future of this film?
Oh, yes. I mean, it already is, apparently. I'm still trying to navigate TikTok. It looks cool, though.
Yeah.
And people will send me videos of things, and I have a great time. But apparently, our film is already doing pretty well in on TikTok. So that's good. It's a win.
Yeah, exactly. It's already translating to young people then.
Yeah, totally.
Is this the kind of film that you wish you had growing up?
Well, maybe. I mean, I feel like we did have those sort of films when we were growing up. I mean, I'm older than you probably, but I think, and specifically to your question, is that I wish we had this specific film growing up. Yeah. Because I think it's healing, and it's I don't want to sound too didactic, but it should feel healing.
Yeah,
in some ways.
I think it does, and for you as well, making this film and accessing your own ancestry, did that help form that bond on a deeper level with you as well?
Yeah,
expressing that creatively.
Yeah, exactly. So, if a film like this was around when I was a kid in Aotearoa, I think it would have been incredibly beneficial to the sort of awful racism and stuff that was around when I was growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we were already kind of touching on this idea that I found incredibly moving. The idea that you filmed this on your country.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the significance of that and filming on country at Taranaki, the mountain?
Yeah. I mean, look, it was an absolute honour and privilege to be there, and we had to get. There are 8 tribes around our maunga. I whakapapa to 2 of them, but we had to go about asking every single tribe for their permission. And, as in our culture, we like to kōrero, we like to talk, and we like to do it quite thoroughly. And so there was a lot of kōrero conversation that went on. I think what our iwi needed to believe and feel good about was that this was a positive film, and that it showed our mountain in a positive way, and that it showed our culture in a positive way, and that it wasn't going to cause any, damage environmentally as well. But to get permission was a really big deal, and we were very fortunate to receive it.
Can you tell me about the actual, I would say the visual aesthetic of the way that you capture this land? It's just beautiful. It almost has those touches of magical realism or stuff.
Yeah.
What were the kind of visual things that you were taking inspiration from to kind of show the world your place?
Well, it was the contrast as well, the contrast of the farmland and the kind of the devastating effects that's had on our whenua versus, the absolute exquisite beauty of the deep, dark bush. You know what I mean? And so it's not hard to do when you're in Taranaki, capturing the beauty of the whenua and the environment. There's a scene where the 3 kids are walking through the bush, and there's all those really tangled, gnarly trees covered in moss, and that's a protected place, but everyone can walk through it. It's just you've got to be very mindful as you do. The magic of what that feels like when you're kind of lost in the bush, you know what I mean? But also how powerful nature is. I wanted them to feel really little at all times. I wanted to be able to see how little they were in environment, because it's a way of showing that we should all be bowing down to nature. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I felt it.
Yeah,
I felt
good,
it. Like there's that
good.
climactic moment. We've got the 3 kids looking up at the mountain.
Yes.
And my God,
Yes.
there's a moment where it feels like the special effect of nature where it parts through the mist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I just feel like that is, you're capturing the awe-striking feeling, the majesty of accepting the place that you're in.
Yeah,
and
totally.
breathing that in.
Yeah, shout out Weta.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out Weta who did the clouds for us. And shout out Matt Henley as well, who was the DOP.
Yeah.
But also that moment when they finally get to the top of Pauakai and, you know, the feeling of freedom, you know, the feeling of having gone through something and come up to the, you know, the feeling that particularly Sam has. All of them have, but Sam kind of being as close as she's ever been to that maunga, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just majestic. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank
Before
you.
we wrap up this little talk here and talk about your weekly picks, I just want to ask you one more thing. I know that you've directed a lot of stuff before, shorts and theatre, but this is your feature directorial debut. How did your background in acting inform your directing, and especially with directing kids as well?
So I've done years and years of acting coaching for Taika.
Yeah.
All the kids in his films I've been the coach for, and so it was a beautiful you know, it was a beautiful thing being able to be, when you're an acting coach, you generally are on set all the time, especially if the kids are leads, which in Taika's films they all pretty much were. So I got to be around Taika at the monitor and being the coach for the kids, which basically means you are the bad cop. The director gets to be all, hey, how you going? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the acting coach has to be, right, have you learnt your lines? Have you done this? Do you understand what's going on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've got to come on to set and be super focused and really listen to the direct, that kind of thing. So it was it just felt like everything came together, you know.
You got to be good cop for a change?
Yeah. So great. But, you know, those years of kind of working with kids as an acting coach, knowing how to, what to ask of my acting coach, Gary Green. But also the joy and the fun of working with kids. It also does something really, I think it's sort of transformative for the crew as well, because they immediately become aunties and uncles. Oh, you know what I mean? So it mostly the crew tend to be in a better mood. And because they really love, also the kids are curious. Kids are always going up and saying, what are you doing? What is that? You know, whereas adult actors kind of come on and they're all like, whonk. You know, kids will come on and be very curious about what each department is doing. And that can be lovely, you know, for crew as well.
I mean, also, like, you know, that's perspective of child that you're capturing in the film. So
Yeah.
it must, like, feel like constant inspiration on set, right?
Yeah, totally.
Well,
Yeah.
The Mountain is such a beautiful film. I think it's a must-see film. And a film that, like, if you have young people in your life, I beg of you, take people to see it, because I think it will just be so transformative to share it with people.
Yeah. Also, I found a lot of older people have really enjoyed it because it sort of, you know, it triggers some gorgeous nostalgic feelings within them as well. So.
I think that's the beauty of coming of age films, because
Yeah.
that is the one unifying thing that I think everybody in the world has shared, is like
Yeah.
that experience of going from a child to becoming an adult, and like
Yes.
that transformation, that change. So
Yeah.
it's something that I think everybody on earth basically feels that on a deep level. So when
Yeah.
you see that experience, you can put your own life onto it, and it's
Yeah.
just like, that's the beauty of it. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, that's why I love these kind of movies.
Yeah, me too. And it's remembering that still exists within us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to feed that. And the way to
Yeah,
do
you
that,
got to feed that.
feed that. You got to take yourselves all out to dinner.
Yes.
Check a childhood movie with all your favorites.
Absolutely.
And that is what we're about to do.
Weekly.
We've got 2 weekly choices of yours, and these are also, I would say, 2 of the most beautiful, best coming-of-age films ever.
Oh.
Let's talk about Stormboy first.
Drama.
Stormboy is a classic of Australian cinema, a film that I grew up with. It's about Mike, a lonely Australian boy living on a coastal wilderness with his reclusive father. In search of friendship, he encounters an Aboriginal loner, and the two form a bond in the care of orphans pelicans. Mr. Percival the Pelican.
Right. And David, I
Yeah.
mean, oh my gosh. So somebody posted on NITV the other day on Instagram, and it was the scene where David is doing, he's telling the story of Pelican. And it triggered a memory in me of how it felt when I went to the cinema to watch it. So I would have been maybe 5 years old or something like that. I don't know.
Wow,
I can't remember.
yeah.
I'm probably, but I
Yeah.
remember, it was those good old days where schools would take kids to films, like the whole
Yes.
school would just go to the
Yeah.
movies for the day,
Yeah.
for the afternoon.
That's how I saw Ocean's 13 for the first time.
No way. Your
Not-
school, you got to, wow.
Yeah, but that's not the same experience as seeing
Clever though,
Stormboy.
clever film, yeah. But anyway, I remember being little and I remember holding hands with a big line of little kids, and we were all like walking awkwardly, because the teacher didn't want to lose us, so we were doing that as we were walking into
Yeah.
the cinema, and they were, calling out orders to us. And then I remember just sitting there, and it was just the most, I just felt completely transformed afterwards. I mean, I feel like we all feel like outsiders at different points in our lives. So immediately we're going to connect with that wee boy.
Yeah.
The vastness of the nature. I remember that so well in the film, how beautiful and lonely and isolating that felt. And also, of course, the amazing little pelicans. And then when are we allowed to give away the big...
I mean, this is like a 50-year-old
That's true.
movie
Okay,
almost,
good, yeah.
I think we're allowed to.
Yeah.
And I think everyone in Australia has seen this movie,
Yeah,
so we're
yeah,
allowed to, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, when Mr. Percival,
Oh.
that's,
Yeah.
I think the core memory
Yeah.
is the way that I could not stop crying. I
Yeah.
think the whole school
know.
was like,
And let the record show, even when you said it, the emotion was bubbling up between us in the room right now.
Right.
It's like one of those significant moments, right?
oh my gosh. But also that and it was thank you NITV for posting that
Yeah.
particular clip, because also underneath there was a comment that it was teaching us about the cycle of life, and these are important things.
Yes.
I think we tend to back away from discussing these sorts of difficult themes with kids, but I remember. I feel like I watched a lot of films like that as a kid, where somebody or something, some being, would die.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was good education. It was,
Yeah.
and it was good in terms of, feeding our empathy monster that needs to be fed and
It
looked
needs to
after
be
and
fed.
nurtured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you do so beautifully in your film as well. You're communicating these complex issues for children and stuff that kids need to see. Kids need to see dark films
I
to,
think so.
To be able to
And Ocean's
understand
13.
life. And Ocean's 13, That's what they should do. With
Yeah.
every dark movie you see, you should see an Ocean's
Ocean's
film in between.
Yeah, totally.
I think another thing you touched on that it just occurred to me now is when you're talking about the vastness of the land and the landscape and
Yeah.
capturing this film, the idea that is it's almost a cliche. It is a cliche to say that there are films where the location, the setting is a character in the film. And Stormboy is definitely a version of that.
Yeah.
But I had this thought where I go, yes, the location is a character in the film, and the weather and the elements are the personality of that character.
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
And with this film, it's that is so key to the understanding of the relationship between the people and the land that they're on.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, was there a question in
No,
there?
I was just saying it. I'm putting it out.
My gosh, that was beautiful.
Thank
Beautifully
you.
put.
I came up with it now in the moment. I was
The
like, I'm
weather are
feeling
the
power.
Personality.
I mean, you can use it now if you want to. I'm giving you permission. It's
I
yours.
will in the next interview. Yeah.
Well, hey, we came up with it
I just
together.
had a thought this morning. No.
You have
Yeah.
to say my name has
Yeah,
to come up
yeah,
on
yeah.
screen
I
every time you
100%
say it.
will, 100%
with a link to
will.
this episode of the podcast.
Totally.
And also David Gulpilil I think one of the masters of screen presence across the world, one of the greatest actors ever from this country. This is 5 years after his breakout role in Walkabout.
Oh my gosh.
And you're seeing like the elevation of his craft. You're seeing him grow as an actor. And it's just like, he's a genius.
Genius. I watched Walkabout actually. Well, it was a film that my DOP sent me as a reference. So I watched it just before we started shooting. It didn't necessarily, I mean, yeah, but it was, he is phenomenal.
So it wasn't direct influence, but it's like...
No.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, I said to my DOP, are we making the same film? He sent me all this Japanese 1960s cinema as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you Stand By Me and the Goonies.
That's it. Well, that's it. We're going. Let's talk about that next movie on your list.
Yes.
It is Stand By Me.
Yes.
Drama.
The absolute classic from Rob Reiner. When did this film first come into your life?
I can't remember exactly if I looked at the date. I mean, I went and saw it at the movies. And I was just so blown away. I will say, though, I felt left out because it was just...
It was just the boys.
And I went, but that's the feelings I have. And that, I mean, it's so, in a way, gender, who cares? But I do remember kind of wishing that, I was part of that gang. Yeah, and so when it came to, rewriting our script from Tom's really great script, it was really imperative that we have a young girl. It was actually from my FOMO from watching Stand By Me when I was a kid.
Hey, that's awesome. That's why.
Right.
Yeah, you go, I'm going to make it the way that I want to make it.
Yeah, totally. But, Stand By Me. I mean, there's this shot that I'll always remember. Even as a kid, I went, wow, that was magical. And now, we have that sort of language, although probably I'll struggle to say exactly how it was done or anything. But there was this fantastic, we start off in the present day, and then there's that, shot of our hero walking down the street, walking towards us, and then the camera rises up and he turns his back and we're in the street of his childhood. It's such an amazing introduction to the world. It felt like cinematic magic. I'll never forget it.
And I think as well, like that idea that we're talking about of like not shying away from the darkness for kids and like allowing them to experience that in this way. It's a very safe way for kids to experience something. And I remember I would have seen this movie when I was about 12 or something for the first time. And I remember it just destroying me.
It destroyed me.
But it made me feel, like you said about Stormboy, feel connected. Like I felt connected watching it. I felt connected to those characters. I felt connected to, people my age and people a little bit older than me. And like it's a dark premise. It's these boys,
going to find a dead body.
Finding a dead body.
It's because they wanted to see what that looked like.
And it's like that darkness curiosity, right?
Yeah, dark curiosity. They get their picture of the paper.
Yeah.
I know.
And they wanted to be heroes.
I know. We went for a walk on Monday morning and there wasn't anybody in the streets of Sydney. It was very unusual and very magical and we it was fabulous. But we were coming up to a bridge and we started joking about how we were about to have to cross a light rail bridge and it was our Stand By Me moment. I said, who bought the comb?
Drop the comb between the tracks.
Yeah.
I think with Stand By Me as well, it's like that. I like the moment that you do see the body, like what the film's all been building up to. I hadn't seen this movie for 2 decades, basically. And then when I saw it coming through in your list, I was like, I need to absorb this film again.
Yeah.
And so I went back to it for the first time in 20 years. And it's so interesting when you see a movie when you are the age of the characters. Yeah. And then you come back many years later and revisit it.
And we're Richard's age, Richard.
Yeah, exactly. My God, I'm being taken back to that time and taken back to like those moments when you see things for the first time when you are a kid.
Yeah.
And it's just like now you watch it and you feel almost like this protective quality for these characters as well. It changes the way that you watch it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, I sort of feel like what I got out of that was never make assumptions about people based on, you know, their looks or anything like that. But also don't let those really precious friendships go.
Exactly.
You know, keep an eye on each other.
And do you have friends still from that time in your life?
No. No, I've got one. I've got one.
That's it.
Yeah, but we don't see each other that often, but we do check in. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And when you
yeah.
do, it's like no time has passed.
100%. And
Exactly.
that's lovely.
I mean, that's the lesson of Stand By Me. It's that
Yes.
maybe you'll have one friend from that time.
Yes.
Maybe.
And that's precious.
Very precious.
Precious.
And I think that was the thing that I forgot about that movie is like, you know, once again, spoiler alert for an old movie, an actual classic of cinema across the world. But those last seconds where you see like his typing on the computer come up on the screen.
Don't. I know.
Oh, dare I say the
know.
words? Dare I
Do
say
not,
the words?
please.
Where he's just kind of like, I can't remember the exact wordage, but it's like, you never make friends like the ones you had when you were 12. But who does or something? And there's
It is that. It is that. Something like that, yeah.
And it's just like I remember the friends I had when I was that age, and like same as you, like I've got
Yeah.
a couple of them still around.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not like I'm seeing them every day like I was when I was a kid.
But that's the thing, it's the intensity.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've got your parents kind of looking up, you know, and it's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
That friendship at that age is sort of freedom from all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would also say, like, there's that moment when they do find the body and they uncover it.
Yeah,
And
so
because it's
sad.
been built up for so long.
Yeah.
But the thing that Rob Reiner captures in that moment, and I guess it's in also the Stephen King source material as well, is like the reality of being confronted with it. It's almost like disappointing and like
Yeah.
it's hard for them to see they are being confronted with that image.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. It's like there's all this build up, there's all this like childhood wonder, and it's so much becomes it was the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And I think it is one of the most elegant and subtle translations of that idea to
Yes,
film.
yes.
And that's why it's so beautiful for young people to see Stand By Me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Everyone should.
I think it's the best. And I think, you know, this is almost with this combo of movies that we've put together
Yeah.
of The Mountain, Stand By Me, Stormboy, I think it is like if you put this on for a kid, this is one of the great marathons of their life. Of like,
Yeah.
of them like kind of just finding who
They'll be
they
a
are.
mess.
Yeah, they'll
Yeah.
be a mess.
Cry. Yeah.
Staff pick.
We are now at that part of the show where it is my duty. The duty has been upon you until now. Now it is my duty as the clerk of the Last Video Store to give you a staff pick recommendation
I'm
based
so
on
happy.
your tastes. I've kind of zoned it down to a couple of movies. So I'm going to ask you,
Go on.
would you prefer the movie to be about a little girl or would you
No.
prefer the movie to be about a claymation boy?
I don't. Okay, a claymation boy.
Okay, we're
because
going...
I don't know that. I feel like I might know the one with the little girl, but I'm not sure I know the one with the claymation boy.
Well, I'm going to give you the one with the claymation boy then. This
What
is one of my favorite, probably in the last 10 year coming of age films. It's a French claymation animation film called My Life as a Zucchini.
Drama.
Oh, what? What a cool title.
It's a cool title, or Ma Vie de Courgette,
Ma
if
vie
you will.
Courgette.
And this is a film that I'll give you a little synopsis of it. After his mother's death, Zucchini is befriended by kind police officer Raymond, who accompanies him to his new foster home filled with other orphans his age. There, with the help of his newfound friends, Zucchini eventually learns to trust and love as he searches for a new family of his own.
I love it already. I'm already crying. My eyes just literally watered up.
Oh my God.
Oh
okay,
my
let me dry them. Let me
gosh.
dry them.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that sounds awesome.
And I think it's a really beautiful film because not unlike all of the films we've talked about, it is like that tone perfect film that perfectly captures the perspective of a child's view of darkness and like how they kind of understand that darkness through their childhood. And when I saw it, I had no idea what this film was going in. And those moments of like harsh realities surrounding the lives of children like really emotionally hit me. And what is so perfect about this film is like there is that underlying sense of kindness that is kind of
I
the
love
way that
that.
it's like visualized, because it's like this claymation film. They're all very like playful looking characterizations.
Yes.
They almost look like little dolls that are like almost like scrappy little dolls being put together.
Yeah.
And to that, it's very subtly warming, and the whole film is so thoughtful.
Oh my gosh, that
And
sounds good.
I think as well, like with this whole list of films, this one kind of being in amongst them somewhere.
Yeah.
It will be, I think, with just like if you've got young people in your life and you want to show them some great films, these films with just that little bit of warning for a young person, I think are really important for them.
Formative.
Really formative.
No, I mean, we clearly we were affected by these kinds of films when we were kids. I'm sure it made us better people.
I hope so.
Right?
I mean, look at us here today. I think
Well,
we're
look at
both
us.
really good people.
Yeah.
Sitting across from each other, getting to know each other.
Good people.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone watching and listening, let it be known, we think you're good people too.
We do.
You're sharing cinema with us right now.
100%.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me in the last video store. Honestly, it was an honor to have you in here.
I've had the greatest time in the last video store.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can come back anytime you
Okay,
want.
then I will.
Anytime. You're a
gonna
member.
come back.
You're a member for life.
Oh,
You're a member for life here.
goals.
Goals met, goals achieved.
Goals met.
And come back, you got to return these in about a week. So,
Oh,
come
damn it.
back.
I was always late.
Okay.
Always.
Well, I'm waiving the late fees for you right now. Let me
Oh,
waive
thanks,
them.
Charles, thanks.
No late fees on Rachel's account.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
But absolutely my pleasure. I love The Mountain. I love so much of your work. So honestly, I was freaking geeked out here today. So,
Dude,
very cool
you're
to have you.
awesome. Thanks
You're the
so
best.
much. I know I was getting. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put in another recommendation. Everyone, you have to watch Cousins too. I think Cousins is one of those
Oh,
movies.
thank
Cousins 2.
Yeah.
Did you think I thought there was a
No,
sequel?
I thought you were going to introduce a new film. I was like, oh, what is it?
No. But thank you so much. You're the best. I treasured this moment with you today.
Thanks so much. Me too.
The last video store.
So that was the great Rachel House here on The Last Video Store. And what a treat, what a treasure to have her on the show. And her film, The Mountain, is in Australian cinemas right now, the 27th of June. Go see it. And like I said, I encourage you to take a young person with you. I mean, if it, don't kidnap someone. Bring someone in that is already in your life. I mean, whatever. If you're going to pay for both tickets, kidnap a kid, bring them too. This is a movie that deserves to have a big audience. Do whatever it takes. No. Just let it be known that was satire. If any law is listening, satirical comedian. I'm a comedian officially, so it's satire. And let me take you through her list. The Mountain is in cinemas now, like I said. Stand By Me. I don't know why I almost sang that. Is on Amazon Prime. Currently, you can rent it across all VODs. I think it's on Binge as well. And I'm also going to follow that up with Stormboy, which is an Australian bloody classic. It is on Broly for free, so check out Broly. And also check out Sunburnt Screens, the podcast that I make for Broly about Australian cinema. We talk about some of the greats. And I'm also going to say my pick for Rachel was My Life as a Zucchini, a claymation, beautiful slice of life for young people. It is on Stan. You can rent it. And you know what? Because I did tell Rachel what the second choice was going to be, I may as well just give you guys a little treat. You stuck to the end of the episode. The other recommendation I was going to give her is Celine Sciamma's film Petit Maman, which is just a beautiful coming-of-age magical realism film from France. That's on SBS On Demand for free. So that's an extra treat for you guys. And Let's Regular Show, I did tell Rachel what it was as soon as we finished recording. It's not like I'm giving you something I didn't give her. I'm very generous. So that is Rachel House's combo. And before we go, I'd like to say this. I love giving those little extra recommendations out. And the way that I can give you a recommendation is if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get this show from, maybe in the comment on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube, we will give you a bespoke customized recommendation based on your video store rental combo. New release, 2 weeklies. Send it to me. My brain will start ticking it over and I'll give you a recommendation. So, producer Alex, jump on on in.
Here she is.
Wow, look at that. She just transported in here out of freaking nowhere.
Do we want to address the seating
Yes.
situation?
We are seated. I mean, this is cinema style seating.
It is.
We, you know, we're sitting, and also you look like a little hobbit next to me. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'll lower my head. All right, so let's give me a review and I'll give you a recommendation. Who's this review from?
This one's from I'm Walking Here.
Oh my God, from Ratso Rizzo himself. Dustin Hoffman in Midnight Cowboy, one of my favorite movies.
But Walken is spelled as in Christopher.
Oh, okay, of course, the star of The Deer Hunter. Of course.
All right, title of the review is No Late Fees.
Oh, good. Yes, I'm waiving the late fees for all of the beautiful members here.
Walking Here says, hands down, a must-listen / watch podcast for all movie fans.
Yes.
Alexei nails it every week. I really hope this show gets the respect it deserves. Spread the word.
Wow, Christopher. I'm assuming you are Christopher Walken who's messaging here. Thank you so much, big fan. That actually is that's a very sweet way to put this.
Real.
That everyone should listen to. This is a very nice way.
It's very nice. Thank you, Christopher. Really excited for next season of Severance.
Oh, yeah.
So
Not me, it's a TV show. I only watch movies. Chris, I only know your movie work.
My two weeklies are The Big Lebowski
Oh, cool. Great movie.
and John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, wow. That is one of my very favorites.
And my new release is Poor Things.
Wow. Okay. Tough mix, but 3 masterpieces in my opinion. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to actually give you a recommendation, encourage people to see another Yorgos film that I think very few people have seen. It is funny. It is weird. You know, it's cold. It's certainly cold, so a little bit of The Thing is represented. It's a movie called Alps, or Alpis in Greek. A nurse, a paramedic, a gymnast, and her coach offer a service for hire wherein they stand in for dead people by appointment, hired by relatives, friends, and colleagues of the deceased to assist with their grieving process. So it's also a little bit fantastical, a little bit strange, and it's weird, man. It's part of that, dare I say, the Greek weird wave. I know that the Greek weird wave filmmakers do not like to be called the Greek weird wave. So maybe censor me saying that. If I ever say Greek weird wave again, censor it so they don't. Maybe put it in once so people know what it is, and then bleep it. Bleep the rest of it, Alex. Bleep the rest.
Taking notes, can do.
But that's Alpis. Yeah, check it out. Great movie. Probably on Mubi is my guess. It's probably on Mubi. So check it out. And thank you for joining me on The Last Video Store. Alex, thank you for producing The Last Video Store.
Thank you for having
Christopher
me back here.
Walken, thank you for listening to The Last Video Store and watching it. And I'll see you at the freaking movies, baby. See the mountain. I'll see you at the mountain. I'm going to see it again. And I'm going to kidnap a young person to take him with me.